any visuals of note around either of these. And it doesn't look like there is. Just big balls of ice. How uneventful. I gotta say, for my first system to explore, it's a little boring. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh yeah, okay. So while I'm flying to the next planet, this function section on your right HUD has a lot of different things. You can label your faction, which is useful if you warp into a battle zone before you actually open fire on anybody. You'll want to choose what faction you're going to represent while you're there. You can toggle and see the status of your landing gear, cargo scoop, whether or not you're in silent running. Toggle your ship lights, flight assist. Certain things cannot be done while you're in cruise mode. Rotational correction is for when you're in a planet, I'm sorry, not a planet, but a space station. You can turn on rotational correction or toggle it off, and rotational correction actually makes sure that your ship stays with the station's rotation that they do for artificial gravity. And yes, I'm rotating my body in real life, which is why my head tracking is doing that. Go ahead and let that slow down a little bit. Pre-flight checks is on the first time you launch, and basically what it does is it runs you through all the controls and make sure that you actually know what controls do what and that they work. So if you bind your joysticks and whatnot, you can actually do a pre-flight check, turn this on, and the next time you launch, it's going to require you to go through every single input method prior to actually letting you take off. So it's very useful if you just like done a whole bunch of binds or something. Report crimes against me. That one is very important. Report crimes against me will summon, if you are in a system with law enforcement, it's basically going to call 911 automatically for you. So the police will show up and they are going to actually jump in. Now, it's not immediate. If you've ever played EVE Online, think of it like a Concord response in high security space. They'll show up, but when they show up, they're going to first start scanning everybody. Once they've scanned people, the first target that they scan that actually has a bounty or a wanted status, then they'll start shooting. They're not going to start shooting at the person automatically. They got to do their rounds, their due diligence, make sure that they... I'm going to pass this planet. Let's just let it slow down to 30 km a second. So right now I'm 26.4 million meters away from this planet. Interesting. Okay, so there's an eagle out here. It's an NPC. He's at 75% hull. So we're gonna go check him out real quick. Rednax Nosnibor. And I know there's no need for me to actually claim his bounty, if he has any, or kill him, for that matter. Looks like that's not going to happen anyways. He just jumped out somewhere, and I don't feel like trying to follow him. Oh, look, there he is. Oops, accidentally dropped my throttle, and now he's gaining on me. Well, not gaining, but leading. Oh yeah. Orbit lines, turn off all the lines for orbits and whatnot. I personally like them. You've got your interface brightness. I personally prefer 3. You can change what your gun sights do, either trail or lead your target. And then your sensor scale is logarithmic or linear. Honestly, I don't know what the difference is, so I'm going to put it on linear for a minute and find out. And the reason I roll my ship a lot when I'm interdicting is because of the fact that, hello, that turbulence, minor adjustments are actually best with all this turbulence. So by rolling with the turbulence, so I rudder, ooh, hello, this guy's actually pretty decent little NPC. I'm getting a little ruddery here. I'm gonna get kicked out. Oh, up, up, up. See, now one thing about the interdiction game is the better I do, the more turbulence he has to go through. The better he does, the more turbulence I have to go through. So if you are good at the interdiction minigame, ooh. No, no, I don't want to lose him. I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose it. Uh-oh. And this is what happens when you lose an interdiction as the interdictor. You are ejected from Super Cruise, and your target gets to continue on. So let's go ahead and figure out what the next unexplored target is. Oh yeah, and you have an additional amount of time for your frame shift drive cooldown. There, so that's what happens, and I'm using a class 1, or size 1, yeah, class 1 frame shift interdictor. And because it's not the appropriate class or size for my ship, whenever I interdict somebody, I'm actually going to take damage to my hull, regardless if my shields are up or down. But when I hit that interdiction and we actually come out of warp, I'm going to take at least 2% points of damage. It is kind of a hassle. So you want to make sure that if you're experiencing that, that you upgrade the class of interdictor that you're using. Gonna happen. This isn't gonna happen. It's not gonna scan before I get there. Yep, nope. Okay. Going way too fast. Alrighty. Let's try this again. And then let's see, I have... one more planet. And then that is everything in the system to explore. So, unfortunately, from the looks of it, this particular system is extremely uneventful, so there will be no Gold Rush secrets in this video. Unfortunately. Real shame, though. However, if I ever do record a video that does have an Elite Dangerous Gold Rush in it, I will put a keyword in it of EDGD for Elite Dangerous Gold Rush. I'm sorry, EDGR. But the likelihood of something like that getting posted is probably slim to none. But let's see here. Unexplored, 3,000 light seconds away. Alrighty. Okay, so final planet, and do we have anything that's not an ice planet? And the answer to that question is... no! Okay. So, now the next thing you need to know about exploration is in order to cache in on this data, you're actually going to need to travel about 60 light years from where you got the data. So let's take a look here. That's 16. And I'm going to go ahead and just write this down in the channel here. Just so I have a reference to look it up after I've traveled. So 12.7. That's this one. 20. Or is it 20? Let's just travel 20 and see how that works. And I'm not going to take the route that it's giving me, because that's a little silly. I have a much higher jump range than that.
Ready to engage. 1. Engage.
See, now I just skipped, like, what, 2 or 3 jumps? And GD215.
Frameshift drive charging. Frameshift drive
Okay.
charging.
I didn't think I'd get anything because this is a high population system. At a certain population, a system will be automatically explored for you, or automatically mapped for you. So basically,
3, 2,
with navigating around the galaxy, if you notice that some systems have a map data already filled out for you, it's because it's reached a certain population threshold and the map is public access. However, if it hasn't reached a certain population access, you're going to actually have to explore it whether or not other people have explored it before. Oh shit. Oh crap. So some planets, their suns rather, are very violent. So now I have to wait for that to be done.
frameshift drive charging.
And then I actually have to point directly away from the sun to escape it.
To engage.
Throttle up. And I'm going to let the heat dissipate, and I'm actually going to... At 150% damage, or heat, your ship starts taking heat damage. And the sun is pretty damn hot. And then at 200%, regardless of how much damage you can take, your ship will be destroyed. So I'm actually going to
Shields offline.
go in here and... Oops, I need that. Don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Okay, so what I just did is I turned off a whole bunch of things that are going to cause me to generate heat. And the purpose for that is so that I can actually get into frame shift without overheating my craft. Because if you see here, just accelerating has me up to 80% heat already.
Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Okay. Alright, so my heat's starting to drop, so I'm actually going to go back in here and start turning things on before I get killed because I can't see anything. Okay. Two astronomical objects. Okay, this is a Federation system. Fantastic. Alright, so that means that if anybody wants to attack me, they're gonna have to... Awesome. Alright, so there's an orbital over here, so I'm actually gonna go ahead and go to that. So it looks like this system consists of a sun, a nav beacon, a second sun, and an orbital, and maybe one planet. So 300,000 light seconds. Let's see how long that timer is going to take when I get there. But when I get there, I should be able to sell the exploration data to this station. Because I think it's either 20 light years or 60 light years. I think 60 light years is for rare commodities, which I've never actually touched and don't plan on touching in this video. rare commodities are a trading thing. If you are interested in it, look it up. But basically, you buy them rather low in cost, and then you take them further and further distances, which nets you a larger return. So basically, like there's, you know, just for the sake of an example, you go to Tatooine and you pick up blue milk, and then you take it, you know, 100 light years from Tatooine, and it's only manufactured on Tatooine, so it's super expensive, and they'll pay high dollar for it out in the middle of the boonies. Well, reverse boonies, I guess, because it's not manufactured out there. I may jump to another system. I'm gonna let my speed go up.
Cancelled.
And this cage, no, FB. BXB16. Okay, so that's where I came from. Let's go ahead and go. Okay, so we're up to 25 minutes, or down to 25 minutes. I don't feel like doing that. DOI, D83. Okay, do I have cargo on me or something? What on earth? Oh, I bet you that's some of the fuel I have. If I got rid of some fuel, I'd be able to jump to that. Was it KHV? Or JHV? That's DLY. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the next system it wants me to.
Frameshift drive charging. Ready to engage.
One thing I should also mention about the Galaxy map is if you use like a HOTAS or hand on throttle and stick or similar setup, you can actually go as far as to bind your different analog axes for different functions within the map. So you can actually navigate it. I just haven't set that up yet. From what I've read, it is actually significantly easier to navigate the Galaxy map with a joystick and what have you. Okay, do I have any players on my scope? I have no players on my scope, so it looks like there's police here. Wedge Antilles. Talk about a nod. Yeah, Federal Security Service, so this is a Federation system. Okay. And I am in dire need of repairs, so I'm gonna hit up Ham Settlement. And we're gonna repair and see if we can sell this astrological data. And now I'm doing my corkscrew approach. which one of the benefits of it is it actually, if you see how the blue lines and my target destination, they shift as I approach, it lets me know what side of the planet the station is on, which when it comes to actually approaching like so, I can actually use the planet to bleed my velocity and be approaching it from the planet's side, and I did not bleed fast enough. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to get on the planet side of the station before I approach and exit. The reason I do that is because the station is going to point towards the planet. And for the sake of speed, ease, and because I really don't want to fly from one side of a station to the other and then turn around and have to dock, I just find it easier to approach from the planet side. Which, in this particular case, since it's an orbital, that doesn't actually matter.
Request denied.
And I have to be within 7,500 meters.
Docking request granted.
Once you get used to the side menus and you've got some key bindings that make it easy for you, like doing things like docking and checking if a target has a bounty and what have you, get to be very quick.
Landing gear deployed.
So if you can see it, the little ramp, you're going to always come in on the side of the little ramp, and the number is always going to be at your front of the docking bay, so that kind of thing gives away how you need to actually go in for landing on these things.
Docking successful. Engines disengaged.
Okay. So my ship is rather expensive, so that 20% of hull damage cost me 38,000 credits to repair. Which, needless to say, once I actually buy one, sorry, once I have the money for it, I'm going to be over-equipping my shields. Alright, so Universal Cartographics. Alrai Sector, FBX B1-6 system. Okay, so 28.8 light years distance. The sell price for this data is 8,900 credits, and I was in there for probably a good half hour or so, maybe a little more. So I think exploration is probably going to be dependent on what kind of things you find. So if I happen to go there and I found a whole bunch of systems, or I'm sorry, a whole bunch of planets with mineable belts or accretion disks around them, then I would probably be getting a significantly higher amount of money. Now, my question here, yeah, like this one, I just flew through the system and scanned the entire system, and I didn't actually do anything, and that data will get me 4,834 credits. So in theory, if you just jump from system to system to system to system to system, you could actually rack up a whole crap load of credits, go take it back, and sell it. So my question now that I've actually done that is I put the system name in the chat specifically on purpose, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a search for it. Come on. That is not the system I'm searching for. That is also not the system I'm searching for. What on earth? FB-X B1-6. That is not really. Okay, apparently the search mechanics are a little foobar. Okay, so let's see if we can... Okay, you know what? One thing I do know where it's at is... Okay, FB-X B1-6. Okay, so there it is. Right next door. Okay, I would love to actually have somebody confirm if they can buy this system data now. Very disappointing that it's not actually coming up in a search. Okay, so what I'm trying right now is seeing if capitalization matters in system name searches. So I'm just going to click on a random star really far away. If I can actually manage to click on one. Okay. Okay, that's weird. I must have been doing some kind of user error when I was inputting this the first time. Alright, so since we're in a galaxy map now, again, and I kind of just briefly go over it, the galaxy map can be a little confusing. It's kind of a pain to navigate at times. The fact that you have to hold both mouse buttons when you're scrolling around and what have you, I can see why it makes it easier to navigate with a joystick, which I'll probably wind up setting up sometime. So this info pane is going to give you information on whatever you have highlighted and or selected. So selected if you have nothing highlighted. Never mind, just highlighted. Okay, then you have in that information just basic data on what class of stars. I don't know what the Gliese means. But in your navigation, you've got several different options. You can plan a route and then do your fastest routes. And right here you can see 12.8 light years is my range. And then you can actually take the slider, and if you're going to be carrying cargo, you can account for that cargo. So that will adjust your range. So if I am carrying 103.6 tons of cargo, I can go 10.4 light years. And then you can basically jump route plan by that. This will let you go back to your current location regardless of where you're selected. This will go to your search location. So you can look for a system specifically using that. Now, this section, the view section, is pretty cool in my opinion. It lets you either realistic view, which means no filters are applied to the stars, and the stars show up as the color that they are. So you can kind of just look through and sift through it. And then now if you see when I'm way out here, I can actually see the stars, but I had them filtered before, which means they don't show up, they're not clickable. So when I go back to realistic, now I can click it. So if you're trying to find stars or systems way out in the middle of nowhere, you're going to actually have to do that. So no system view available, so I can't actually view the system. 9,753.6 light years away. Now we're going to go back to where I'm located and go back into the view, because this is actually populated territory. So you've got several different things here. You can color the stars by nothing, population, and then you can determine a range of population that you want to see. So if you only want like low population, then you can do that. But I guess it like puts spheres around them based on their population. So if you look here, so adjusting those sliders, it looks like you can determine how much of a population. I'm not 100% certain how that works. Purchase exploration data. Yeah, okay, so if you have the exploration data, you can actually see the population. Now, normally, if you have the data on it, you can actually see what the rings have. Those rings, I don't have any data on. Like in this belt, metal-rich ring type. Let's see. Doesn't actually show what the ring types are on this, so I don't know what they are. But if you are looking for places to mine, one of the things that you can do is say go to going back to my home system because I know a nearby mining system, LTT 15574. Now if you look here, this particular planet, LTT 15574 Planet 5, it's a Class 2 gas giant, has a metallic ring type. I always recommend mining in metallic rings just because you're going to find the best stuff there. And I'm actually going to go ahead and go over there. I don't have any mining equipment, but okay, so let's see if I can pass through GD215 again without actually getting within the orbital radius or gravity well of the sun and getting pulled out of Super Cruise again.
Ship released. Engines engaged. Landing gear retracted.
And kill myself again. That is awesome. So that's why you don't afterburn immediately. So now I'm in a situation where I am in this system. My final balance is going to be 65,000 credits, which means I cannot afford to die again. So now I need to go home. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the starport services. Because since I will die either way, I'm going to look at taking something back home to increase my wealth. Let's take a look at the system map and see what kind of stations we have here. So, extraction and refinery. Okay, so neither of those will actually do me any good. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to go ahead and just set my waypoints and get back home. I'll probably just go ahead and stop by here and kind of poke at rings real quick. Try not to embarrass myself by doing a horrendous crash into the station again.
Ship released. Engines engaged. Landing gear retracted.
And that's when you boost, when there's nothing in your path.
Frameshift drive charging. Frameshift drive charging. Four, three, two, one. Engage.
Okay, so let's try not to die when we hit the sun. So I'm going to immediately pitch my thing down, so I start pitching the second I come out of warp. Oh, yeah. Alright.
Frameshift drive charging. Four, three, two, one. Engage.
Alright, so... Alright, so we're going to head over to Planet 5, which is that Class 2 gas giant that I showed with the rings on it, with the metallic. And while we're heading over there, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of point something out on the system map. Do this relatively quickly because it won't take long to get there. So down here we've got A ring and B ring. Now these rings, A is going to be the innermost ring, B is going to be the outermost ring, and basically whatever's at the bottom of this list is going to be the outermost ring, top of the list, innermost ring. Now, the reason that that is important is because when you go to look at one of these planets, which I have apparently already passed, or was passing, when you look at it, and this is something that I saw this data on other YouTube videos showing basically that you can go into these rings, but they didn't really explain what was going on with the rings. Now, from the map, we know that the innermost ring of this is a metallic ring, and then the other ring is a rocky ring. So if you look at these rings are colored. So the inner ring is metallic and the outer is rocky, and I know I said that like 3 times in a row. But as you approach, one thing that I have found is it's very easy to wind up in the rocky ring on accident. Now, there's plenty of resource extraction sites. Unless you intend to collect NPC bounties while mining, I recommend against going in those, especially because you're also available to be found by players when you're in those as well. Now, you can actually exit Super Cruise on any part of these rings. Now, you see my lights are starting to go off here. It's because I'm starting to get close to the rings here. Now, you see it's very slight glimmer. I'm actually going to go in. Now, since I know the innermost ring is going to be metallic, I'm going to go ahead and come out of Super Cruise really close to the edge of the ring on the inside of the planet. Now, you want to go very slow when you do this, but if you can see, I'm skimming just above the rocks. They're just so teeny tiny, but I'm going as slow as I possibly can, 30 kilometers a second, and I'm actually going to just slide my craft down. I'm not going to directly face him. I'm just going to slide my craft down, and I'm going to safely come out of Super Cruise on him. I don't actually have to hit the exit button. I just have to, let it pull me out as I approach. Now, keep in mind, if you're mining in these, when you get in here in these asteroids, you're going to be mass locked, so you can't actually engage your frame shift drive until you come out of the ring, whether it's above it or below it or on the edge of it. But keep in mind, even where I came out, there is still a lot of distance to cover to get towards the planet before I actually exit the ring that way. So you need to keep in mind what the solar plane is for this accretion disk, and make sure you know which way is up and which way is down if you need to flee. So Topper McNabb is actually wanted, so I'm going to take the time to make some credits here, because I need them. Looks like he's got 10,000 credits worth of bounty on him. And he fled. Okay.
Cannot comply. Frameshift drive charging. 4.
So I'm actually going to get back into Super Cruise here.
Engage.
Now, one thing to be aware of when you are entering Super Cruise,
Rotation.
keep in mind where the asteroid field is and try and clear the planet before you get away from it, because I speak from experience on this. You can see it there out my right side. If you're like on the dark side of the planet and you're not paying attention, you can very easily keep just bringing yourself out of Super Cruise onto it. Or if you happen to be trying to, say, jump to another system or go to a station and you flip around to face it and go that way, you can wind up screwing up and hitting the asteroid field again. Which, okay, so that's where that is. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip up that way. And obviously I speak from experience on that. I've slammed into the asteroid field at full warp many, many times. Now, I've never actually died from impact with a planet or an asteroid field or anything like that. But when I drop out of Super Cruise, I do take damage. Now, oddly enough, it's only like 2 damage or 2% damage usually. But you take damage. Now, I don't know if there's a chance to die, but odds are there probably is. Now, because I'm in the gravity well of this planet, it's taking me a significantly large amount of time to accelerate. Wow, never mind, I didn't put my throttle down. I apparently need to go to sleep. Which is exactly what I'm going to do once I get to this station. Yeah, that is basically a majority of the mechanics you're actually going to wind up doing or using. One thing that I know I didn't really touch on very much is the chat mechanic. Now, if you bind a key for it, you can actually access the chat comms, which I think by default is 4, and you can scroll through it and select players. Now, their name's not going to show up unless you actually scan their ship. But you use the same controls to navigate through the chat panel that you do for the left and right panels. You can only talk to somebody in the same system as you, even if they're on your buddy list. You can see if they're online or not through this menu, but you can't actually chat with them unless they are in the same system as you. And if they're not on your buddy list, you have to have them targeted in order to chat with them, or they have to be the last person that you messaged. It's a little annoying, to say the least. And I do know that they're working on the social mechanics of the game, so hopefully that will be changed in the future. Laggy. By the time I exit warp, I'm going to be halfway across the system. There we go.
Docking request granted.
Okay, so Since I know that I can't afford to replace my ship, this is one of those situations where I need to be extremely careful not to get myself killed. So I'm going to deploy my landing gear, which landing gear is very helpful in terms of slowing you down, and so is balancing your power, because if you don't have full pips into your engines, you don't actually go as fast. So deploying your landing gear and balancing your power, or even just taking all power out of your engines, if you're worried about over-maneuvering, will help prevent you from killing yourself. Where is my landing bay? There it is.
Docking successful. Engines disengaged.
And I haven't tested it myself, but based off of videos I have seen from beta, I do believe that once you have actually received the docking successful, you are invulnerable. I may be wrong. No warranties are implied with that comment. Alright. So out of habit, I'm going into the trade menu, but yeah. So that is my overview on game mechanics. Dying is apparently one of my strong suits. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day.